Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we got a nice NBA slate here with plenty to choose from. Play of props here in this episode. Also got best bets up in a separate one, so make sure to subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along all season with us as we bring you both of those videos each and every weekday. Also want to let you know about a limited time deal that we have with BetMGM right now. The Lines and BetMGM are offering you up a new customers, I should say, up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Plus, you get a guaranteed $50 bonus bet as well. So use the code that you can see right there, the Lines YT50, and the link is in the description of the video as well if you just want to be taken right to it to get all that really nice free money, essentially, for BetMGM in partnership with the Lines. But Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA play a prop here for Friday.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings are at Atlanta, and there's really not a guy you don't want to target for Sacramento against this defense. Maybe not Sabonis, because the Hawks have been solid on the interior, but I'm going to go with old, reliable DeMar DeRozan. 21.5 points. You can get 25.5 points assists, but the juice, they put it right on that line where you either have to go one more up or eat the juice.
Can I interrupt real quick? This is my favorite moment in time to let people know if you do have access to DFS sites, this is the moment in time. No matter what, this price is going to be minus 137 on Prize Picks, for instance, right? That it's a stable price for that. So when you see the books at minus 156 for a play, you can get it for minus 137 on Prize Picks. That's the moment in time I try to tell people that.
Yes, I'll always shop around, try to leverage that by using one book against the other. But yeah, like I'm saying, the Hawks, they're only good on the interior with the Capella and Kongwu combination. Otherwise, they're just abysmal on defense. And I think, to be fair, like they're missing their two most important wing defenders right now, Dyson Daniels and DeAndre Hunter, both ruled out. Bogdanovich is also pretty solid on the wing. And so it's just been very easy for like Exhibit A, the Wizards, Bilal Coulibaly season is career high points. Bob Carrington also shredding them in his fourth NBA game. SGA, who's had a slow start to the season, had his season highs across the board against his team by cooking them in the mid-range. And we know DeRozan, the old king of the mid-range, has long actually roasted the Hawks. His last three last season, 28 and 5 assists, 129 offensive rating, and not playing much defense, which is great. We got a 237 total. He the Hawks probably should be in this one, so we're not worried about him cooling off the way he did against Utah because they're just not competitive whatsoever. He also enjoys playing at Atlanta, whatever pregame meal you get there at the Fixins. Some fantastic places to eat in Atlanta. Nearly 30 a game his last 5 in Atlanta. Also 7 assists when he was more of the focal point. Now, I mean, he's not the same role he was with the Bulls, but Fox is clearly kind of like willing to take lower usage, like trying to bring him into the fold. And I mean, he's just a bucket, especially the way he can get to the free throw line. And Atlanta is 7th in free throw rate allowed. They're also dead last in fourth quarter points allowed. And we know DeRozan is a closer. If we do get that close game, I'd definitely like him to get at least 22.
Yeah, take your pick. I like Kevin Huerter. I like Keegan Murray to have a bounce back game. I like everybody. I don't even mind Domas, to be honest with you, even though I know they haven't been scoring down low. They played the Wizards twice. Wizards ain't scoring down low or getting to the bucket. So I think that's a big reason why that interior defense for Atlanta has looked so good. I think they're better on defense than we think, but this is all about Dyson Daniels being out. DeAndre Hunter, I'd call him their third most important defender after Jalen Johnson. You could even throw Clint Capella in there, but all 4 of those dudes are plus defenders and like actually very good defenders, which is very interesting for Atlanta. It's like, yeah, that's good. Do that because Trey is a goddamn sieve. He is a turnstile. He is not good on. It's just so bad. Watching that Washington game, like you said, Bob Carrington, like there's going to be mismatches for somebody on every single possession for Sacramento. Let's just put it that way. But let me go to that Brooklyn-Chicago game for my first best bet. I'm going to fade Vooch. I initially wanted to fade his points and rebounds, looked into it a little bit more and was like, no. He gets rebounds against Brooklyn. You don't get points, though. And he doesn't get points against Nick Claxton, pretty specifically. And Brooklyn is very, very good at limiting above the break this season. So I think this 20.2 points per game for Vooch on the season, love that. Love that he's at 20.2, barely climbing over 19.5, has gone over this number very consistently this season. Cannot think of a better moment in time to fade recent results for the man who is playing way above his pay grade right now, shooting 46% from 3. Now you get a team he struggled against historically and a player that he struggled against in their matchup, and you get that in a situation where the entire team for Brooklyn is also limiting everything above the break very, very well. Fourth best in limiting that particular spot. Like I said, he's gone over in 4 or 5 this season, but he's been playing some teams that have not been limiting centers. Brooklyn has been allowing the 7th fewest rebounds per game to centers, and as a result, limiting second chance points as well. And I mentioned that above the break defense, that's Vooch's shot chart. It's just a top of the key 3, or it is rolling to the basket and playing obviously a little bit more on the block. But if you look at the volume right now with Vooch, if you thought maybe it went up and that's why his points been going crazy, he's got like 0.6 fewer shots per game through these first 4 or 5 games than he did with DeMar last season. So DeMar's really wasn't necessarily cutting into his usage, as Vooch is still being used the same way. And now it's basically just Zach LaVine taking every shot that maybe DeMar would have taken, and Kobe White still doing Kobe White stuff. And it's actually very unimpressive that this offense is just choppy and gross, to be honest with you. But versus Claxton in the last 6 games, only 12.7 points per game, only went over this number, only hit 20 points once, and has gotten plenty of rebounds. Like I said, about 12 boards per game. I think he might still be able to get those because on defense, he's going to be the majority of the rebounds are going to go to him on defense, but the offensive rebounding has not helped him get points against this team, and I'll continue to buy into that.
Yeah, plus the Nets have bigs coming off the bench who can also give him problems, kind of wear him down. I mean, I will say maybe he's unlocked this year. He's been playing a lot better because Josh Giddey is in the fold, and the Bulls are kind of handing him the keys to the offense. So that's where I'm going with the look here, but I am fading the points and expecting some shooting regression. So over 13.5 rebounds and assists is plus money at DK, plus 110. Pretty good juice there. I mean, he's averaging 5.8 assists so far with this new team on almost 11 potentials in just 28 minutes per game. So they're kind of using him in spurts as kind of like just come out there with the energy, spread the ball around. I mean, maybe he gets more minutes now with Lonzo out and Zach LaVine very much questionable. Like he only had 11 points last time out, right? I mean, might not be looking to shoot as much. So I think we'll see a lot of Giddey and Kobe White against a Brooklyn team that just kind of plays fun basketball, right? I mean, it's the identity of Cam Thomas and Dennis Schroeder. What do you expect? Like, this total's been bet up 12 points. I don't know which way we land on it now in terms of a total, but I do like guys who can get up and down the floor like Giddey to rack up points. I mean, per 36, he's only playing 28 minutes a game, but per 36, 11 assists and 7.5 rebounds. So he went well over this against Memphis and Orlando, his last two defenses that definitely respect a lot more than Brooklyn. He has averaged 19, 9, and 7.3 in his last 4 against Brooklyn with OKC, where he has not really had this kind of keys to the offense role. And clearly, I mean, I'm fading the shooting, but like the fact that he's 59% from 3 on 4.2 attempts shows that he's like worked really hard to be able to stay on the floor and to get defenses to respect him, which sets up everything else, right? I mean, he might not hit these threes all the time, but like clearly fixed the shot, got him benched in the playoffs last year. That allows him to get in the lane and then get these potential assists. So I definitely like him to get the peripheral stats here.
Let's go. I'm with it. I mean, it's a decently high number, but this is something that he's probably going to be looking at right about his averages for the season to the points that you're making. So yeah, I'm no qualms with Giddey. He's been a focal point for sure. I think he's only going to continue to increase the level of the reins, if you will, right? Like Kobe White still seems to have a little bit of that, the reins kind of standing in his way, but that's going to continue to increase as he continues to play this efficiently. So no problems with a Giddey bet there. I'm going to go with one more over. I had an under earlier, but I'm going to go with Christian Braun on the Denver Nuggets. It's impossible not to say his name with a German accent, but he's the only other dude that I would say has consistently played well this season. You can give Ago a little bit, Aaron Gordon, but this is about someone playing over expectation. Christian Braun is that dude for this team, as well as Jokic, obviously. But if you look at what he's done this season, I like the 13.5 PR combined. I really like the rebounds at 3.5, but they're only like minus 150. It's going to get up to 4.5. I would rather just play like an alt of like 5+ rebounds and get that for like plus 120 rather than even deal with the like 4 for minus whatever. But either way, I just combined them, take a little bit, get a little bit better juice, like minus 115 on most books for Brown to get 14 points in rebounds. He's averaging 19 on the season. He's got 9 rebound chances per game for a pretty small dude who is can sky. I will say that. And I like the usage, 10 field goal attempts and at least 3 free throw attempts. And it's not going to change the world that he has 3 free throw attempts per game, but it is enough to get him 2 extra points per game right now. And don't take that for granted, because if you have a player you want to bet an over on their points and they can't get to the free throw line, you better hope that they shoot a really good percentage. I don't need Christian Braun to shoot a really good percentage, which is why I like him, because even in the games this year where he's shot poorly from 3, and his volume from 3 is minimal, it's like 3 per game, but even in those games, he's cutting to the basket and playing better off of Jokic than, Aaron Gordon. Honestly, anybody outside of him is not playing as well off of Jokic and receiving those cuts. He's got the most cuts to the basket for the team that are ending in points as well. So I like the way that he's playing, and I'm not scared of Minnesota in this sense. I think Christian Braun ends up being the forgotten man on this team, right? You see all the key defenders for Minnesota honing in on Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray and, Nikola Jokic, who they don't double, to be fair, but we'll see. It only helps, honestly, somebody like Christian Braun that they don't double Jokic. It's still easy for him to find guys no matter what. So I think that for moving forward for Christian Braun, like, it's maybe he's not the second most important player on their team, but he's the player that's played the best over expectation in about 35 minutes per game. Probably closer to 32 if you take out the overtime games that they played, but still 32 out of those minutes, still up from about 20 from last season. And he averaged 9 PR in 17 minutes per game versus Minnesota in his career in like 8 matchups, including the playoffs. So I think if you extrapolate that out and double those minutes, it should be able to get over 14 or over 13 PR.
Yeah, the books might be a little slow to catch up on his expanded role. Yeah, yep. I think that's what you're targeting here, regardless of the matchup. Really, is just like, this is too low. Denver in a pretty desperate spot already, and leaning on the kid a lot. Yeah, especially as Westbrook continues to dip in the second unit, like Christian Braun might have higher usage when Jokic is off the floor, and then it's just counting on him in multiple ways. So definitely a good look as the number stays low.
Who is in bigger trouble, the Bucks or the Bugs?
Yes, this is a popular podcast question, as I've heard. I would agree that the Bucks are, because is Chris Middleton just like broken? Yeah. Giannis has at this point pretty much asked to be considered in trade possibilities, and Dame, like I said to you, is fast approaching Kemba Walker territory, where he just falls off a cliff without the athleticism. Very early, I know, only a couple weeks in, but the Bucks look like an easy target right now.
Yeah, that's a for sure, but they're both in trouble. So that is all the time we have for you and play props here for the NBA. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that page so you can continue to follow along. Also got best bets up in another episode, and the NFL Coast to Coast Play a Prop show. So make sure you check all that out on the YouTube channel. And until we see you next, happy betting.